My fingers gripped the armrest of the chair so tightly my knuckles turned white. The principal's office suddenly felt airless as Mr. and Mrs. Beckford exchanged smug glances across the polished conference table. "Since you clearly can't provide adequate guidance as a single mother," Mrs. Beckford said, her voice dripping with rehearsed concern, "we believe indefinite suspension is the minimum consequence. Our daughter Olivia has the right to feel safe at school." Principal Turner shifted uncomfortably in his expensive chair. "Miss Jones, without a proper parental support system, Martha's behavior suggests deeper issues at home. Perhaps a male role model program." "You mean because she doesn't have a father?" I said, my voice unnaturally steady despite the hurricane inside me. Mrs. Beckford's perfectly lined lips curved into a smile that never reached her eyes. "Some women simply aren't equipped to raise children alone. It's not your fault, really. Biology requires both parents." Mr. Beckford slid a document across the table. "Sign this admission of parental negligence, and we won't pursue assault charges. It's quite generous, considering." The room blurred around me as I saw what they wanted. A signed confession that I was an inadequate mother, that my daughter deserved punishment because I'd failed her by being single. That my family structure made us both broken, unworthy. "My name is Natalie, I'm 38 and a marketing director. This is the story of how I learned that family isn't defined by who left, but by who refuses to leave. For 15 years, I'd rejected every attempt by my stepfather Timothy to be part of our lives. I'd built walls so high around Martha and myself that no man could climb them, not even the one who had never stopped trying. I learned to distrust men early. My biological father George vanished when I was 13, leaving my mother Gillian sobbing over credit card statements revealing his double life. He abandoned us for a younger woman, leaving us struggling financially while he started fresh. I wore second-hand everything and watched my mother work herself to exhaustion. When she married Timothy 3 years later, I was furious. He was everything my father wasn't: stable, successful, kind. He owned commercial properties throughout the city and had the resources to help us. But I saw his wealth and influence as a threat, another form of control waiting to collapse. I rejected everything: his affection, his financial support, even his name. At 18, I moved out. At 23, I met Richard while working at a cafe to pay off the student loans I'd stubbornly taken instead of accepting Timothy's help. Richard was charming, creative, always talking about his next graphic design breakthrough. After years of isolation, being truly seen felt intoxicating. We moved in together after 6 months. When I became pregnant 2 years later, Richard seemed excited initially, talking about names, a bigger apartment, stepping up. I believed him. But pregnancy reveals character. As my body changed, Richard started coming home late smelling like bars and excuses. At 7 months pregnant, I discovered texts to another woman. He packed his bags that night, saying I'd changed and was no fun anymore. He never met our daughter Martha, never sent money, never called. His abandonment reinforced everything I'd believed about Timothy. I'd been right to reject him, right to refuse his help. Men promise, charm, and ultimately destroy you. For 15 years, Timothy kept trying. He sent checks I tore up. He called on birthdays I sent to voicemail. He told my mother to tell me he was proud of me. I built my life on proving I didn't need a man, any man, not even the only one who'd ever truly shown up. Then came the crisis that shattered everything. My kind, creative 10-year-old daughter Martha came home crying for the 4th consecutive day. The bullying had started subtly: whispers, exclusion at recess. But Olivia Beckford, daughter of 2 of the most influential parents in the district, had escalated it into calculated cruelty. Every day, Olivia would corner Martha and whisper the same poisonous words. "You don't have a daddy because your mommy is a bad woman. That's why he left. That's why no one wants you." She was weaponizing our family structure, using my deepest wound against my daughter. Martha tried to stay strong. But when Olivia destroyed Martha's art project, something she'd worked on for weeks, and laughed, "Fatherless girls don't deserve to win anything," Martha snapped. She pushed Olivia hard. Olivia fell and scraped her knee. Now I sat in Principal Turner's office, being told that my daughter deserved punishment because I was inadequate. A bad woman who couldn't possibly raise a child properly alone. I didn't sign their document. I walked out, got in my car, and sat in the parking lot shaking with rage and humiliation. At home, Martha was waiting, eyes swollen from crying. "Mommy, why doesn't my daddy protect me?" she asked. "Am I suspended because Olivia is right? Because you're a bad woman?" That was the moment every wall I'd built crumbled. I realized I wasn't failing Martha because I was single or inadequate, but because I was too proud, too damaged to accept help from the one man who'd been offering it for decades. Martha needed a protector. She needed proof that Olivia's words were lies. She needed someone to show her that loyalty and love weren't myths. With trembling hands, I pulled out my phone and called Timothy, a number I hadn't dialed in 20 years. He answered on the second ring. "Natalie." His voice was older but steady, as if he'd been waiting for this call his entire life. My throat closed up, but then everything poured out. The bullying, the suspension, the letter, how they'd publicly humiliated me, called me inadequate, a bad woman who deserved abandonment. After a long silence, Timothy's voice returned, transformed into controlled fury. "Listen to me very carefully. You are my daughter. Martha is my granddaughter. Those people have made a profound miscalculation. Do not sign anything. Do not speak to anyone. I will handle this. I don't want your money." "This isn't about money," he interrupted, his voice softening. "This is about family. You've been my family since I married your mother. I'm sorry I let you push me away for so long, but you're not facing this alone anymore." He instructed me to meet him at the school the next morning at 9 o'clock sharp. I couldn't sleep that night, replaying every cruel word, every smug look on the Beckfords' faces. Would Timothy actually show up, or would this be one more disappointment? At 8:55 the next morning, a sleek black car pulled into the school parking lot. Timothy stepped out looking exactly like what he was, a man with power, influence, and zero tolerance for injustice. He placed a reassuring hand on my shoulder and gave me a single nod. For the first time in 20 years, I didn't feel alone. We walked into the office together. The Beckfords were already seated, looking smugly confident. Principal Turner sat behind his desk, clearly ready to wrap this up quickly and force me to sign. "Good morning, Mr. Turner," Timothy said. The principal looked up and his face went white. He recognized Timothy instantly. Everyone in the city knew who Timothy was. He funded half the district's programs and sat on the school board's advisory committee. Mr. Timothy," Turner stammered, standing. "I didn't realize you were." "I'm Natalie's stepfather," Timothy said calmly, sitting across from the Beckfords. "And Martha's grandfather. I understand there's been some confusion about accountability here." Mrs. Beckford, still arrogant, smiled tightly. "We are simply asking for an apology for Martha's violent behavior, sir. Surely you understand the need for discipline." Timothy looked at her with the kind of calm that precedes destruction. "Mrs. Beckford, let me clarify something. Your daughter has spent weeks psychologically tormenting my granddaughter, using deeply personal and cruel insults about her family. When your daughter destroyed Martha's property and mocked her for being fatherless, Martha defended herself. That is not violence. That is self-preservation." Mr. Beckford leaned forward. "With all due respect, Mr. Timothy, Martha pushed our daughter." "And your daughter," Timothy interrupted, his voice like steel, "has been bullying mine repeatedly, viciously, and you too have been complicit, spreading malicious gossip about my daughter's character, calling her inadequate, a bad woman. That, Mr. Beckford, is defamation. I don't tolerate it." The room went silent. Timothy turned to Principal Turner. "Here's what's going to happen. You will reinstate Martha immediately with a formal apology from the school. The Beckfords will issue a written apology to both Natalie and Martha, and their daughter will be required to attend a bullying intervention program. If any of this is refused, I will take this matter to the school board, the local media, and my personal attorneys. Your choice." Principal Turner looked like he might faint. "Mr. Timothy, I'm sure we can resolve this." "Then resolve it now." The Beckfords' faces transformed from smug to panicked. Mr. Beckford attempted to bluster, but Timothy silenced him with a single look. 20 minutes later, I walked out with a formal apology letter, Martha's reinstatement, and the knowledge that the Beckfords had been utterly defeated. Timothy didn't gloat. He simply squeezed my shoulder and said, "You're a great mother, Natalie. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." Walking into the sunlight that day, I felt something I hadn't experienced in decades: protected, valued, loved. Timothy didn't just win a confrontation. He restored my dignity. He proved that family isn't about blood or gender. It's about who shows up when the world tries to break you. Martha got her school life back. And I got my father. That day taught me something profound about walls. I'd built mine to keep pain out, but they also kept love at a distance. Sometimes protection comes not from isolation, but from letting the right people stand beside you. If you've ever felt that you weren't enough, that your family structure somehow made you unworthy, remember this: family is defined by actions, not absence. The people who truly love you don't need an invitation to show up. They simply refuse to leave, no matter how many times you push them away. And for the record, Timothy still calls every birthday. But now, I answer.